You can tell a lot about a person from looking at their personal clothing style, but imagine how much you can tell about them when you enter their living space. Some people live in very put-together houses with fancy furniture and stylish decor, while other people struggle to organize their personal belongings and have furniture that is comfortable and nice and makes them feel at home. Now, which space would you rather live in? What do you use? Good idea. I personally can't stand an unclean, messy, disorganized home. This kind of space just makes me feel anxious. It can also affect the mental health of the person living there, as their motivation can be low living in a cluttered environment. It is always good to relax, but it's not okay to make that a lifestyle. So paying attention to your living space is very important. Here's just another example. Hi, my name is Jenny Shang, and I'm going to be talking about interior design and interior decorating. This presentation will contain several key points about interior decorating. It will define the difference between interior design and interior decorating. I will also be giving a guide on how to find your own aesthetic, what the design process is, and 2 examples of design briefs. I will be showing you the progress of the renovation, and I will be showing you the progress of the renovation in my house. Picture an empty room. How does the whole layout work? How does it get put together? Whose job is it to decide where the bathtub goes and the electrical fixtures are going to go? A lot of people think that interior design and interior decorating is the same thing, but the truth is they're both very different. You need both of them to bring a space to life, but they have very different jobs. Interior design is the art and science of understanding people's behavior to create a functional space within a building, while interior decorating is the furnishing and adoring of a space with decorative elements to achieve a certain aesthetic. Basically, an interior designer may decorate, but a decorator does not design. An interior designer might not be adding furniture into the house, but they have a very important role in deciding what the overall look of the project will look like. An interior designer may be defined as interior design is the art and science of enhancing the interior of a building to achieve a healthier and more aesthetically pleasing environment for the people using the space. An interior designer is someone who plans, researches, coordinates, and manages such enhancement projects. This is a person who designs the shell of the space, but is not as concerned about the small aesthetic details. A personal favorite designer of mine is probably Kelly Hoppen, and one of the houses that she worked on that I really liked was her house in the UK. The mix of old and new pieces are really refreshing, and the space has just the right amount of old furniture pieces to match with a more clean base palette in the walls. What is interior decorating? Well, unlike interior design, interior decorators are more of like a personal stylist. Their job is to create a space within the home that fits the client's personal style. They use fabric, paint, furniture, and accessories to change the visual aesthetic of a space, but they don't actually change the dimensions of the space. My favorite designer is Glenn Gisler. And the reason why I like his work so much is because all of his work he somehow incorporates something different that you've never seen before, but it still has this really original feeling to it. He also has a really base palette too, and he always manages to add a pop of color somewhere. The design industry is always changing and pushing different styles every year. Here are some examples of the trends in the last 10 years. Like I said before, they're consistently changing, so I might not be able to get through all of them. Starting in 2010, vintage vibes were introduced, and everyone seemed to love it. There were bright pops of color with little accents of mid-century modern. This style was heavily influenced by the 60s and the 70s. In 2011, bold eclectic came around, and it was a really big trend. Bold patterns, woolen rugs, especially Moroccan type, and the much-loved chevron pattern, paired with colorful and mismatched dining chairs and timber tables. In 2012, industrial cool was an interesting change, as you can see, from really bold colors to more of a darker shade palette and really interesting shapes. 2013, Geopastel came around, and everyone seemed to like it, so they moved away from the darker colors and stuck to more bright colors again. In 2014, glam was the new look. It seemed like everyone wanted to make their space feel like a film studio in New York City, with black or white walls and darker colored furniture. Matland was the style in 2015. It had a matte finish on everything, and subway tiles became really popular in kitchens and bathrooms. Urban chic. 2016, urban chic was a trend with bold paintings, and it was more of a put-together street style in my opinion. Scandi became a big trend in 2017. It was giving off sleek modern, but with more of an exotic twist. Fashion forward was the big trend in 2018. It gave us New York City loft feelings, and with bright pops of pink and gold. Nordic nest was the next style in 2019, and it's the style that still influences my style today. It has really nice colors and carpets with really interesting textures. For 2020, the global home had a more subtle transition from 2019 because it still had the special furniture and the white walls, but it was more organic feeling. Wow, those are a lot of trends in just a short amount of time. This is what is called fast furniture. Fast furniture all started when fast fashion was a trend. Big manufacturing companies and marketing methods focused on rapidly producing high volumes of clothing that were made out of really cheap material. But that's the same thing with fast furniture. Fast furniture, by definition, is furniture that is made quickly and meant to last for a short period of time, between 1 to 5 years. Fast furniture is meant to be a trend and break quickly, so you can toss it and purchase the next trendy piece of furniture. And all of this ends up in landfills. Did you know that over 10 million tons of furniture end up in our landfills today? So, my design advice is to buy quality furniture pieces that you'll love and enjoy for a very long period of time. There are 6 different stages of the design process. Each of these steps are very important. Here's an overview of all the steps. Step 1, programming. Programming is to figure out the need of the space, who's living in the space, and a profile for each of the people there. It might be homeowners, friends, guests, etc. Concept development, developing idea stage, also known as brainstorming design solutions. Concept statements such as quick sketches and graphic visuals of the main ideas, color schemes, and other important details of the proposed design. Bubble diagrams are also commonly used. Presentation and cost estimate. Design concept statements are shown to the client to get feedback. A variety of graphic presentation models are used, such as presentation boards and 3D models. This also includes a timeline for completion and the cost estimates. Design and documentation. Once the concept is chosen, a designer will move to the design and documentation process. They will need to find final work drawings, including detailed floor plans with electrical and water specifications and blueprints of the plumbing system. Final written specifications with details on all the fixtures and fittings such as doors, windows, paint trim, window treatments, etc. Execution. Once the design is approved, contractors are hired, and the designer gives them the details and the schedule of when the work will be completed. Evaluation. Evaluation is the final step of the process. The designer has a walkthrough and interview with the client to see if they're happy with everything and whether anything needs to be changed. Now we can talk about what an interior decorator does. I have my own aesthetic, but if I was an interior designer, I would guide the client through the process of finding their own style. There are many different types of aesthetics, and all of them are very unique and very different. Here's a few examples. We have dark academia, Y2K, light academia. For example, my aesthetic would probably be described as fresh, clean, neutral looking, or commonly known as it girl aesthetic. I love some artificial colors and more cozy vibes, but how can you find your own aesthetic? Well, it's very simple, and I will take you through the 5 steps on how to find your own aesthetic. These steps are the steps an interior decorator would take their clients through. Step 1, define yourself. First, know who you are. Here's some questions for thought. What do you like? What do you dislike? Describe your personality. What do you love about yourself? Describe what your ideal day looks like. Step 2, inspiration. My aesthetic and who I am largely influenced on a collection of inspirational materials and people. Who are your inspirations? Consider fictional characters, personalities, fashion icons, ideal lifestyles, wardrobes, and quotes. Step 3, mood board. Creating a mood board is my favorite way of finding what I like and what I want clearly. I like to use Pinterest to make private boards for reevaluating my aesthetic. Here are some ideas of what to pin. Go through the things you like and list and pin accordingly. Imagine your ideal lifestyle. What would you want to spend your mornings doing? Trips you want to take, hobbies you want to try, etc. What clothes and outfits are you into? Pin scenes from films and TV shows that inspire you. Art quotes that make you feel the way you always want to feel. Images with colors that speak to you. Once you have that, you're looking at a visual representation of yourself. Step 4, curate. Now that you're in touch with what you like and how you want to live your life, the key to cohesive and strong aesthetic is being able to curate. To curate means to select and organize and present by answering these questions. You have selected your visual inspiration, and now you need to organize it. Although finding your aesthetic can be challenging, when you do find it, it will be a lot easier to understand what you like and help your interior designer or decorator get a better understanding of you. This information can help you know yourself better and also help create the space and reflect that. When you start planning a space, it is always good to start off with a design brief. A design brief is something that shows you what your space is for, also known as the purpose. It also makes you consider any issues with the space. You will then need to document and zone up the space, which are areas you will know what they do and how they function. You will then need a few ideas of what you want your space to look like and feel like. For example, I want my space to look organic, clean, and also want it to have a space, and I want my space to be comfortable. Plus, a good design brief has photos for inspiration and visually represent what you like or want. For my Masterworks, I completed 2 design briefs, one for my family friend and one for my reno that I have in my own house. The first design brief I made was for my mom's friend for his bedroom and bathroom suite. The only challenge was making his brief was we had really different styles. And I had to work with what he liked, not what I liked. The design brief I made for him was 3 pages long with information about the space and the usage, and including some inspiration photos. Here, I'll show you guys the photos. He was really into a cabin style, which I didn't like, and he loved plaid, a lot of it. For example, this was an image he chose. Another example, I also created a design brief for the reno in my home. This design brief was also detailed the space and purpose, problems, and solutions, and aesthetic. It included pages among pages of photos. I made this presentation board with colors, textures, and materials that I like. Here's an example of the design boards. Okay, so this is the one I made for Aaron. It has the floor that used some wall colors, and this is carpet that he's going to use, and these are some photos. Example. And here's my board. I have the reno in my house. You can tell, use marbling and more wood for the flooring, and these are paint colors. Here are also more photos of what I liked. I really liked the bathroom and how it was like a pavement kind of style. Throughout the year, my mom and I have been working on a reno project. It was more of an unfinished part of our house that we just kind of forgot about until one day I thought, wow, this space would make a nice bedroom. And my mom agreed. So we got to work. I wasn't surprised when I found out there were a bunch of issues with the space, such as leaking, unclean, and it had a bunch of giant, terrifying spiders. But in the end, it turned out pretty nice. Here are some photos of the before and after. Here are the floor plans, too. A lot of things have changed. We decided that we didn't want the bed to be styled like that, and we removed the kitchen. Here's the lighting and how that's going to work. So this was before, and we have repaved the flooring, and the roofing we still had some issues with, and we still had to add drywall. As you can tell, more roofing issues. And this was before. Oh, there's my dog. And there's the roofing. This was after we added the drywall. It still had a bunch of spiders, but it's okay. We're working on that. As you can tell, there's no paint on it yet, and this is after it's done. So we painted everything, and we added wooden trims. There's a little glimpse of the bathroom. As you can see in the final photos, there is no furniture yet. That will be my summer project. I've learned a lot of things throughout the year about interior design and decorating, and I've gotten to know myself and my aesthetic better. And now I understand the whole process of starting an idea and seeing it through to completion. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I would also like to thank Amanda, my advisor, for helping me out through this project. I also wouldn't be able to finish my Masterworks without her help. I would also like to thank Jillian Horvath for her time, expertise, and help. Lastly, I would like to thank my mom for inspiring me and helping me along the way, and of course, letting me use her space. Thank you.
Excellent presentation, Ms. Shang, and we are now going to go to the question period, starting with your advisor, Amanda.
Thank you, Ms. Shang. That was fantastic. I absolutely love the vocabulary you use to describe styles and visuals. You have a wonderful, rich vocabulary. I have two questions. First one, what were some of the biggest challenges for you in this project?
Trying to choose a topic was the first one that I had, and then trying to stick with that topic was one of the biggest challenges. But other than that, once I finally chose the topic, it was amazing. There was no issues.
No issues. Okay.
Yeah, no issues at all.
Would you feel like, I know we talked a bit about the idea when you're an interior decorator, you have to go with the client. So initially you had some.
Yeah, that was that was a little bit of a challenge, but I could work around that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you did, because Erin's style was a lot of wood. And
yep.
Okay.
A lot of plaid.
Yeah. My second question is, what kind of advice would you give to us to not fall into the trap of being fast furniture consumers?
Well, I know places that you shop at, like IKEA. I feel like everyone has a piece of furniture, at least from IKEA. And usually they don't last that long, and they usually fall apart, they break off, and then we always throw it out and buy another one. But I was thinking, maybe if you save that money, and over time you can go to a better furniture store and purchase a more expensive piece, but it does last a longer time. And it's also worth it because you don't have to throw it out. And you actually save more money from investing your money into pieces than continuously buying and throwing it away, buying and throwing it away.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the second-hand market for furniture?
I feel like that's also a really good option, as it's a pretty good investment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Problem.
Okay, we're going to go to questions from the floor, and I would like to invite Riel up, and if you could speak loudly, that would be great.
Hello, Professor Shang-Gagnon. Congratulations on your lecture. Implicit, however, in everything that you told us about both design and the aesthetic final product is that you have to have a lot of money, it seems to me, to get to your goal. And some people in life don't have a lot of money. And so I don't pretend that I have the answer, so this is a real question. If you want to encourage a person to develop the sort of aesthetics that you've developed for yourself and will continue to, it seems to me, for a very long time, but they have a very small budget, how are they going to surround themselves with that look and that feel that makes them at home?
Well, like I said before, I think investing in it and saving money would be a better idea, because usually, unless you want to put money into fast fashion, fast furniture, investing in the pieces are way better. So let's say you want to get a sofa, and it's a nice sofa, you would save your money and like, hey, I won't have a sofa for a bit, but then you can get a nice one, and it's gonna last you a long time. Instead of buying like a cheaper sofa that's only gonna last you like probably a year, and then you would have to repurchase it, and it would cost more to repurchase it.
So it sounds like there's going to be a season in one's life where they're in limbo, they're working towards a goal,
Yeah.
but they have to live in another way in the meantime. Is that
Yeah,
what you're suggesting?
kind of, sort of. That's what I've heard.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Great job with your presentation, Ms. Shang. I love your aesthetic, first of all, but my question is, what kind of materials are like when you go to like a better furniture store, like if you want furniture to last long, isn't like the material and like the thing. So what do you suggest that would like kind of last long? Do you have any idea?
So I know IKEA for their furniture, sometimes including their bed frames and their sofas, they use plywood. Yeah, plywood, and that stuff breaks easily. And not only that, they use really cheap fabrics. I can't name them specifically because I can't remember, but they rip easily and they get dirty.
I just first, great, amazing job. Love that entire thing. I love your aesthetic. The other thing was, I didn't know that fast furniture was a thing. What is like? This is very like similar to other people's questions, but what is like a good way to like tell if it's fast furniture or genuine, good, last long furniture?
Well, I don't know if other people can see it, but I can tell by the quality of the pieces because I can admit some of IKEA's furniture, I don't know why I'm like specifying IKEA, but IKEA has some really good pieces, but some of them are also absolutely horrible. But you can just tell by the way they're made, and if you look at the materials that are in it, like certain pieces, like wood, for example, and metals, you can tell.
I have a question for you, Ms.
Yeah.
Randy. I was really interested to see the different trends over the last decade and didn't even realize, but as you put those up and those images, I could see all of the spaces that incorporated those design elements. Is that, not in a book, but is it on the internet where these ideas that classified 2012,
Yeah.
how did you find that out? Because it wasn't apparent to me that there was actually a trend, but when I saw it, I could completely see all those
Well,
trends.
I mean, every year, even in magazines or Instagram posts, there are like different designers that post their works on Instagram, and you just tell by like, they hop on trends easily, like pink walls. I'm pretty sure that was a trend in 2010. And everyone had pink walls for some reason, and then when I went back to see that, it was true. Yeah.
Is there a catalog of these things? Go ahead, Rob.
Oh yeah, I really liked your presentation. I was wondering if, for the like guest house that you built, I was wondering if there was a name for the aesthetic that you wanted to interior decorate it.
I don't know. But I think it's still It Girl aesthetic.
Girl?
Yeah, that's what they call it now.
I think we're gonna name it Hummingbird Nest.
Interesting. Don't agree with
Fantastic presentation, Mrs. Shang. You touched a bit on the beginning about the mental health of a cluttered environment. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on some of the causes and effects of that, as well as how a more aesthetically pleasing environment might alleviate those problems.
Well, I don't know, but personally, it does motivate me. Let's say if my room is clean, it's going to motivate me to do stuff and walk around and move around a lot more than like staying in it, like when my room is messy. So then my motivation would be low. I don't want to do homework. I just want to sleep and not do anything.
But your room is always messy.
No, it's not.
That was wonderful, Ms. Shang. Thank you so much. I have two questions. My first one is, did you do any research or do you have any thoughts about environmental impact of designing and decorating? And how to reduce that as much as possible?
I didn't do.
So if I'm trying to follow the fashion every year,
Yeah.
and I need to repaint my walls or refurnish, do you have suggestions for how to avoid the toxins and?
I mean, you don't have to follow the trends. That's why I'm just like thinking like maybe if you choose stuff that you like, it's not always about the trends or what, stuff.
Did you come across anything about specifics around materials or paint or anything?
No, I didn't.
There are now labels on things
There
that
are.
have, like, you can get low VOC paints and low furniture that doesn't off-gas and things like that. So there's a whole interesting side of that around environmental impact and trying to reduce that. So that would be an interesting extension for
For
the
sure.
summer.
I would love to do
And
that.
then, so my other question is related. I have a cabin that we're designing on Cortez Island. And so that I don't fall into the trap of trying to repaint every year and follow the fashion, what would you suggest for me, like what's the best style that's gonna last the longest and be the most pleasing for everybody? So that I only have to design and decorate once.
I mean, you just really have to like evaluate the whole situation. Maybe make a floor plan or a board or a design brief for how you want everything to look like. And that might be a pretty good.
Sounds like maybe I could consult you.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
So about like fast furniture and like versus expensive, like non-environmentally impactful furniture. Do you think like maybe if you invest your money on a well-made furniture and a new trend comes out and you want to change, would that be like one downside of well-made furniture? Maybe like, or do you have to like?
Sorry, are you saying like if you buy a good piece of furniture and you?
I'm just saying.
Max, can I try?
Yeah.
If you want to
Please.
spend a lot of money getting high quality furniture,
Yeah.
but the trends change fairly rapidly, is this what you're saying?
Yeah.
That,
something like
how do you balance that? Is there
Yeah.
something that you could do with accent pieces, or
I
like,
mean-
is there a way to follow the trends without spending a lot of money?
Oh, yes, there is, such as like, because there's like a cycle of trends. I'm pretty sure that's also fashion. It's like every 10 years the cycle will restart and old trends would come back. So I would, if I was to buy something, I would buy it secondhand, for example, like maybe secondhand pieces of furniture that are still really good, but they're cheaper. Yeah.
So like, you could probably like sell your.
Yeah, you could sell it. You
furniture
could
and-
sell your old furniture and probably get new uses. Yeah.
And could you use accent pieces? Like,
Yes, you could. Yeah. Excellent.
Hello.
Hi, Matthias.
So like, what is your plans for that space? Because it looked quite large, and I'm wondering like, are you just gonna put a bedroom, or are you gonna put like other stuff?
I feel like it's gonna be like a bedroom and then like a living room kind of incorporated. I'm hoping to add a TV.
Is the plan, Ms. Shang, for you to live there or to rent it out?
I don't know. I've been trying to persuade my mom to let me.
Hi, so I usually like a lot of older styles, and I can never find them anymore because most stores are always having the newest styles.
Yeah.
And I can never find anything that I like because it's always the newest style out.
Mhm.
How do you find something that's what you like, but it's not in trend?
Have you ever checked Kijiji?
No, I don't know.
Yeah. I would recommend checking. Or eBay. Yeah.
Can you be clear about, can you tell us more about those places where you could shop?
Well, Kijiji is like a secondhand place where you can sell technically anything, and I'm pretty sure they do sell furniture. And it's just people maybe who want to get rid of something, so it's cheap and it's like good quality most of the time. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Shang. I was captivated by the moment you were describing how your style was very different than your client's style.
Yeah.
In this case, the family friend, because I have been in that scenario, and I'm just a little bit curious as you consider yourself a designer now and a decorator. I'm feeling that sort of vibe from you, like you've got some passion about it. And I'm curious, what did you do to manage that difference between your style and the style of the client? Did you give them a little bit of space? Did you feel like you ended up influencing them? I'm curious how, because I want to know how they're going to manage me in the future.
Just suppressed my feelings. I wanted to I wanted to be flat out honest with them. That is, I mean, it's not my style at all, so I don't want to like cover anyone who likes it, but I just didn't give him my opinion on it because I was going to be very judgy.
And do you think that was what he needed, or might you in hindsight say, I really should have helped that client?
I mean, I did like some of it, like maybe, I didn't like the plaid as much, but I mean, the walls are quite nice, so, and the furniture pieces, like he loved darker colored furniture, like leather sofas, and I also kind of like that, so I was just working with what he liked.
Did you help him maybe identify more what he actually liked, like,
Yeah.
and what his aesthetic was?
Yeah,
Yeah, which would have helped him.
which would have helped him choose, and made things much easier.
Ms. Shane, that was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Very well done. I've seen you as an artist over 4 years, and I know you to have a fantastic eye. My question is similar to Scott's in that part of the challenges I have at home are that my aesthetics are very different from my partner's aesthetics. How do we find a common ground? What would be your advice for figuring out how we can decorate our place and make it look nice that fits both of us? Is there a way?
I don't know. I think there is a way, but you are just gonna have to talk it out. I don't know. Yeah.
Or should I just suppress my feelings?
Yeah, or just like
and not say a word?
Yeah, that would work.
Like a
That
good
would work
idea.
for sure.
Second question perhaps is, do you have any advice for our school? Are there things that we could do better to make it, as you say, better mental health for our students?
I mean, everything's great. I like it. It's a great school. Maybe just like, I know how like the rooms have different colors to like, you know, make it very obvious, but maybe if we remove that, it doesn't, like, for example, the yellow room, when it's really sunny, it burns my eyes. When I'm there.
All right. Thank you. Very well done.
Great job. That was a great presentation, Shane. I'm just wondering, if you were to go back and redesign your new like bedroom living area, to say, what are a couple things that you would change that you've gone through everything and you learned more?
I would probably change the bathroom a bit. Yeah, like the flooring in the bathroom.
Is the floor, is it
Oh
here?
yeah, we used 2 different colors. Like, what I would have wanted was probably just, wait, wrong one. This one, my bad. What I probably would want to do is change the floor into maybe like a marble, although it can be really slippery, because the wood just doesn't really match it, and it kind of doesn't make it obvious which one's the bathroom. I mean, other than the shower. But having the flooring. So yeah, that's one thing I would change.